I'm Greg Hunter. Welcome to USAWatchdog.com. With us, a personal friend of mine. He also runs a site called TradersChoice.net. He's a brainiac, man. He was a former floor trader at Bear Stearns back when they were solvent and they were doing great. I'll bring him on. Spoiler alert, it's Greg Squared, Greg Mannarino. Gregory Mannarino, thanks for joining us today on USAWatchdog.com.
Great to be back. Thanks, Greg. You're really awesome.
Okay, I've had people, well, you're awesome too, and I've had people talk to me about how, and I believe them, and I'm not discrediting them in any way, shape, or form, what they're doing is so criminal, so crazy, so off the charts, crazy time, like you said, they will do unimaginable things to prop this up. Why has the market been actually catching a bid and things are looking, well, kind of like, well, everything's okay. Things are fine, that we're not in all this debt. We don't have all this trouble. We don't have all these insolvent banks. Why is the market doing so well?
Well, Greg, it's just more of the same. Nothing is real. Nothing. I don't care what asset you want to look at, whether it's a home, whether it's a currency, whether it's debt, one and the same, whether it's a share of stock, the precious metals. There is nothing across the financial spectrum that has a real price discovery mechanism behind it. It is all twisted and distorted and will get worse, in my opinion, as we move forward, because world central banks they're not done. They want the party to keep on going, and there's a lot behind this here. Understand, and I think that most of your listeners get this. We are in this cycle right now where the world central banks are determined to keep interest rates low. In other words, deliberately create an environment where people need to find yield or a way to grow their capital. So the only place to be right now is in the stock market, and that's inflated a bubble of enormous magnitude on the back of a debt bubble of even greater magnitude. And again, the party will continue until it doesn't. So that's really what's driving everything right now. And this whole talk of a possible rate hike in December, in the grand scheme of things, what really would 25 basis points do? I mean, it will have a ripple effect eventually, but it'll take time for that to play out. So for right now, the game remains risk on. And that means, again, we just will have a worsening environment of distortions across every asset class. Again, I want people to understand what we're seeing. It's a financial horror show of truly epic proportions. When an investor or even an average person out there is looking to buy a home or invest in the stock market, they don't know what they're getting into at all, because again, everything has been pulled and stretched and continues to be manipulated, and we'll talk more about that, into an environment that is not real. There's going to be a terrible price to pay for this when this corrects to fair value, which it will do.
What do you make of Fisher, basically the number 2 at the Federal Reserve, and Dudley, and they're, we're going to have rates. Oh, rates are too low. We've had rates too low for too long. The Fed minutes, you're the one that brought this up. I brought up my weekly news wrap-up. You said, hey, man, they're worried about, A, their credibility. This is you. And B, they're worried about, rates being too low for too long. Is that like good cop, bad cop with Dove, Yellen, Yellen's gelling. If Duff Yellen, is that good cop, bad cop? Fisher's playing the bad cop, Dudley's playing the bad cop, Yellen's playing the Dove, the good cop, the Snow White and her 7 dwarfs are acting up. Is that what's going on?
I think that the Federal Reserve is legitimately becoming fearful of what they've done. There's no recovery here whatsoever. Again, all people need to do is look at 2 metrics and 2 metrics only. The labor force participation rate remains near record lows. The money velocity, that's the rate that cash is moving through our economy, remaining at record lows. Without these 2 metrics moving higher, you cannot have a recovery. What we have here is a debt bubble. That's it. Everything is being inflated right now on the back of that debt bubble. So I think there are legitimate fears. The Federal Reserve in that same day came out, and there are some that are trying to, I think, warn people that the environment that we are in is very dangerous. Look, and we're hearing the biggest guns on Wall Street, all of them. There is not one of the biggest guns on Wall Street right now, and you know who they are, that is not trying to say, hey, you know what? Something is very wrong here. We keep hearing about a debt market supernova. The bond market is in a bubble, which again is inflating a stock market bubble. We have not seen valuations where we have right now with regard to the market only 8 times in the last 200 years. And every single time the market has corrected to fair value, but nothing like this. We've never been here. This is uncharted territory. So that is the problem. The Federal Reserve had never had a plan to get out. They wanted to get in here, try to reinflate housing, try to reinflate the stock market with no plan of how this would actually play out moving forward. So I think what we're seeing is legitimate fear in some of them. Now their new scheme, Greg, their new scheme is they want the economy to run hot, meaning they believe, and Janet Yellen said this is her words, the only way to prevent this economic horror show from becoming a permanent scar was to allow the economy to run hot, meaning let inflation creep in, continue to suppress interest rates. In other words, make all of us pay more for everything. That's going to really stimulate things. You understand? They are so desperate, Greg. Now, we also hear Rosengren. He came out yesterday or the day before, and he's saying, oh, maybe we need a new kind of QE, but maybe it would be the reverse of Operation Twist. So look, they're already trying to throw these things out here. And the mainstream media, Greg, how about them? They're starting to float out this concept of a universal basic income. Look, what is this?
Communism. They're throwing out universal basic income. They're throwing out communism, comrade.
That's exactly what they're doing. Look, we are going to face an extreme form of socialism in our country as we move forward. There's no doubt about it. They have no alternative. Again, look, the system we are in is not sustainable. It cannot be sustained. 225 odd years to build up the first half of our national debt. We have doubled that in 8 years just to maintain where we are. Now, to keep maintaining where we are, we would have to double the debt again. So we're talking 40 trillion in the next 4 years. It can't happen. That's why the debt market is a supernova just waiting to go off. So this is why you have so many people out here trying to warn about the debt market. I've been out here before all of them, probably yelling and screaming that there was a problem here in the debt market. But look, world central banks have proven that they are very resourceful. They have flipped the system upside down to make it function, Greg. They have literally twisted it. The environment cannot be sustained like this in a negative rate environment, but they have no choice. They have to inflate and inflate and inflate and inflate. That's the only thing they can do until this implodes, which it will. So there we go. There's the new system. When this thing implodes on itself, which it's going to, the middle class gone, investments wiped out, jobs gone, you name it, economy worse than the Great Depression. The government is going to offer a solution, and part of it is the universal basic income, socialism. They already took over the healthcare. We already know that. That was the first step. Once they controlled the healthcare, you knew what the next few steps were going to be. Again, they want a government that will rule the people, not the people that will control the government. And this is what the mainstream is now starting to do. CNN did a whole thing on this. I think it was an hour long where they talked about a universal basic income. Flew right under the radar, Greg. And people aren't saying, hey, you don't see this online. You don't see it on Facebook, nowhere. So people should start paying attention to your show right here because we're talking about it.
The Communist News Network, CNN. I'm ashamed. When I was there, they hired me as an investigative reporter. I digress. Janet Yellen, there is no way in your mind, I know how you're thinking, well, of course, we could always have a crash. We could always have a black swan. We could always have a ship sunk in the Persian Gulf, whatever. But you're saying there's no way they're going to let this go down before the election. If they do, if Yellen lets this go down, Hillary's toast. She's running on his deal, right? Is that right?
Absolutely, Greg.
On Obama's deal. That's what I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. No, I got it. The last time that Yellen spoke before Congress, she floated out the idea that if the Federal Reserve were allowed to buy the stock market, it would be good for the economy. Think about what that means. Which companies would she buy? Would she buy everything equally? We know this, and I know this for a fact. I cannot prove this, but this is absolutely happening. The Federal Reserve is already buying the market. They're using dark pools to do it, Greg. These private exchanges. Well, doesn't that sound familiar? Buy the market to keep it propped up. Not only is that going on, we are still in this environment where these companies are spinning off their own assets to buy back shares of their own stock to keep it all propped up. This is going to continue until it doesn't. It may end soon, right after the elections. I don't know. There are some people out here that believe that is going to happen. I've heard some things out there that we discussed. Someone told me that it's kind of in the know that the U.S. military appears to be, or the National Guard specifically, getting prepared to be mobilized in the major cities.
Before or after the election?
I'm hearing after the election here, or around the time
they think Trump's going to win. I mean, I think this is so absolutely off the charts. If you look at the mainstream media blacking out Julian Assange, WikiLeaks, and also Project Veritas, where they're saying they're paying people, that the DNC is paying them. Hillary Clinton knows this is going on. The DNC that's the top people caught on camera say they're hiring homeless and in some cases mentally ill people to start fights at Trump rallies. It's outrageous. And she calls these people deplorable.
Well,
that's outrageous. That's to propel this idea. I mean, we had it in North Carolina. We had one of the GOP headquarters in Hillsborough burned, firebombed.
Yeah. Well,
that should be front page story, but we're not getting any of that. We're getting Assange's internet cut off. You and I have both had problems. Everybody in our space, I mean, I don't know whoever it is either spending big money to keep from being shut down or has been shut down and is now spending big money to keep from being shut down and attacked and hacked and attacked in any way, shape, or form. Is this part of the deal to try to keep information suppressed and the markets propped up?
Well, absolutely. Wall Street wants the status quo. Hillary Clinton belongs to Wall Street. They want her. She will keep everything going the way things are now. They don't want the party to end here. They need the middle class to continue to be systematically wiped out. We're moving back into a two-tier society. That's, again, what's being set up here. Because understand, all of this comes down to the financial system, which is the backbone of everything that is going on here. Once this corrects to fair value, and it is going to do that, I have given up on trying to speculate when it's going to happen because they always come up with a new scheme. Nobody, not any guest you've ever had on this show or anybody on the mainstream would have ever known or ever even thought that interest rates would be suppressed for so long here in the United States, that other world central banks would have actually flipped the system around, going negative to keep this propped up. Admittedly, I never dreamed that this would happen because, again, the system's not meant to function like this, Greg. So this should have gone down years ago. But again, this is what they've done here. And who knows what they're going to pull out of the hat next. But I can tell you this. The fact that all of this, again, is going to correct to fair value. And the Federal Reserve is nothing more than a serial bubble blower. And then they allow these bubbles to burst as the wealth transfer happens. Again, more money is made as the market drops faster than when the market goes up. Most people believe, oh, well, if the stock market's going down, everyone's losing money, so I don't feel so bad. Oh, no. That is not what happens at all. When the market goes down, the Wall Street institutions, all of them, they start going short the market and they collect everyone's cash that got put into the 401ks, that got put onto the investment plans. And it just goes from one person's reality to another person's reality. That's all that happens. And everyone walks around with their long faces. Oh, I lost money. My neighbors lost money. Yeah, well, there's a lot of people out there that have a big smile on their face because they just ended up with all your cash. And that's exactly what's going to happen here. To a magnitude, Greg, where the middle class is going to be gone, desperate, searching for help wherever they can get it, and it's going to be the government that's going to introduce an extreme form of socialism, I believe. Again, this universal basic income is just part of it, and they're going to be dictating to everyone how you can live, what you can buy, price controls. That'll be something else. Just think about what that means for the advancement of knowledge here. There'll be no reason for people to invest in anything anymore. If we have some type of a universal basic income here, where would be the drive to advance medicine, to advance science? It'll all be taken over by the government. It won't be us anymore, and they're going to dictate to us how we can live, how we can raise our children, what we can buy. This is where it's going. It's all about control. This is why they are so desperate to get Hillary Clinton into office. And if by some miracle that she doesn't make it in there, Greg, maybe this is what the whole military is getting ready for, from what I'm hearing. It's the only thing I can think about. It's interesting.
So you think they're getting mobilizing after? Because I think the polls are, well, obviously the media is lying. The WikiLeaks has proved that. The media is in bed with the Clinton campaign. The media is totally in bed with the DNC. It's proven. It's not what I think. It's proven fact. And they have to lie and cheat this much. And they've cut off Julian Assange, WikiLeaks. He says he has contingency plans. They cut off his internet. He's going to keep dumping it out. Project Veritas. I'm sure the cops are going to go arrest him, like the guy that did the anti-Islamic video for Benghazi, or they're going to try to arrest him. But anyway, the long and short of it is, you think that your source, and I know you can't disclose who they are, what they are, but your source says they're going to mobilize the military after the election. That to me only tells me that they think Trump's going to win. Well, what do you think?
You know what? It's very possible. Either that, or they're going to steal the election and people are going to go wild. I don't know. We just don't know. And we just need to be ready for whatever's going to come here. They're already controlling the media. They want to take away our firearms here. They already control the healthcare. We can see the writing, Greg. It's across the sky. It's across the wall. It's across our faces. And people the people here that believe that Hillary Clinton is the right way to go are so indoctrinated right now into some distorted reality. They're just so blind. They can't see what's going on. And that's unfortunately the case. People have been so dumbed down in this country they cannot walk and chew gum at the same time. But this is also why we are witnessing a natural selection here, Greg. Something I've been saying forever. More than likely, I would be willing to believe that the people that watch your show, they get it. They know what's going on. They're wise enough to see right in front of their face. But I don't know. I think most people are just, unfortunately, on the wrong side of this.
Just so one thing that I wanted to bring up about this whole control thing is Deutsche Bank. I don't understand that. If they want to keep this thing going, then they have to keep this going by hook or crook, and then they fine Deutsche Bank for the housing mis-selling mortgage-backed securities. I don't know what you want to call it. They never say crime. $14 billion, and then they fine them for $38 million for the silver manipulation they admitted to. What's going on with that?
Well, that's interesting. You're right. We just found this out. Deutsche Bank is getting fined $38 million. Are you kidding me? Why is it so low? Because they rigged the silver market. Look, if anyone had any doubt that the paper derivative here of gold and silver is being rigged, well, there's your proof right there. And it's not just Deutsche Bank, and it's not just silver. If they're doing it to silver, they're doing it to gold. And again, a $38 million fine isn't even a slap on the hand. If it were, you would see gold and silver surging today. Look, just think about this in the grand scheme of things. We have direct proof of manipulation with regard to the gold and silver. Direct proof of it. And there's no uproar. There's no anything. It's not on every single network. It's nowhere. And they're getting fined $38 million. How is this going to make whole even one investor, I'm more than certain a lot of your followers out here are invested in gold and silver here. How are you? Let me ask you, all of you out there, how are you being made whole by this? You have been cheated. You have been robbed, and you continue to be robbed. More than likely, sadly, no one's going to do anything about it. No one's going to write a letter to the Congress or the SEC or whatever it might be. You're not going to demand some kind of compensation. No, you won't. You're just going to sit back like they expect you to do and just deal with it. Unfortunately, that's what's going to happen, Greg.
It just shows me that they're just everything is being pulled out in the media. It's not even the media. I mean, it's just the propaganda channels. Let's just call it that.
Well, that's what it is.
It's not the news.
It's just propaganda. Yeah.
They've lost. I mean, I'm going to cover this in the weekly news wrap up. But one of the WikiLeaks has all these top. David Muir, the anchor World News Tonight, and George stuffed cash in my pants, Stephanopoulos. George Stephanopoulos. All at these meetings, all at these dinners, off the record. Basically, before Hillary Clinton announces her campaign, to get everybody in line. Sad thing is, social media, you can't get in line, and searches on Google and internet, you can't get in line, and all this different stuff, and people are searching for what? WikiLeaks. They're like, boom, bing, 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 big searches for WikiLeaks. And Donald Trump, the women, all the lying women that are coming out 30 years later, I mean, nothing. I mean, how are they know they're not going to get these Bernie Sanders voters. I think they know it. I think they know they're not going to get a lot of black people. And USA Today just put an article out this past week, the last few days, and said, well, not as many Hispanic voters are registering to vote. I think they know they're toast. I think they're panicking. What say you?
Greg, look at the inner cities. They're falling apart. Black unemployment is off the charts. If any person of color out there believes that Obama helped them, well, they'll go ahead and vote for Hillary, because you're going to get more of the same, but much, much worse. And
you better stay in line, because Hillary said with Chris Wallace that she believes there are limits on the Second Amendment, and she believes there are limits on the First Amendment. That's freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to gather. She says there are limits on the First Amendment. She wants to suppress all dissension, is what it sounds like to me.
Well, Greg, keeping people in line, they've been preparing for that for a very long time. And I challenge anyone to answer this question. The question is simply this: why do you believe that the police in every single state in the union have been militarized? Military weapons, military tactics, military training. Why? Why is that? Why do they look like combat battalions? There's a reason for that. They understand where this is going here. It's about control. This is why they want Hillary. They want Hillary to help foster the control that Obama's already started here. They want the changing of the guard at the Supreme Court so they can take whatever rights you think you have and just throw them away. They're gone, Greg. This is what they're doing. Then they're, again, floating out these ideas of universal income here and the healthcare thing. Look, you got to be blind not to see that we're losing our country right under our noses here. Look, I hope, seriously, that people are going to get out there and vote for Trump, really, because Hillary is going to destroy us all. I am certain of this. Wall Street wants her. The political elite want her. There's a reason for that, because her interest is not for you. Her interest is for them. And we're seeing the systematic extermination of the middle class right before our eyes. And this is going to accelerate, Greg. It's going to accelerate if Hillary gets in there. Again, she's going to change the guards at the Supreme Court. And who knows what they're going to do? Maybe they're going to start rounding people up after the election here. Maybe that's why the National Guard is going to be deployed, or what I'm hearing here. Very frightening stuff. I mean, who knows? No one knows. So we just have to be ready for anything. We have to hold the high ground, like Sun Tzu, the art of war. Be ready for anything. I really think that's what we need to do.
Gregory Mannarino, traderschoice.net. I have some people come on and say, hey, Greg Mannarino's not posting his videos, and that's not right. You are posting videos. You are now professionally trading. Not only do you have traderschoice.net, but you've come up with some trading platforms, proprietary stuff that you have sold and stopped selling. But tell me about you. You're still doing videos, right? I mean, you still have free stuff, free information at traderschoice.net, correct?
Absolutely. Go to my website. There's lots of free stuff there, lots of cool stuff there for you. I put a lot of my stuff back on YouTube here. I will start posting stuff to Trader's Choice again, my own videos. I just haven't. Again, I'm a full-time trader now, extremely busy, as you know. So, but I'm working on it.
All right, and I just want to make sure people know that you're still up and running, and you are the Greg Mannarino, Greg Mannarino, traderschoice.net. Thanks for joining us today on USAWatchdog.com.
Thank you, Greg.